rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Alhamdulillah, assalatu wassalamu ala rasulullah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd. Welcome to the R2F show. We're here again for another installment. 3 weeks, I think we're just 3 weeks in a row now. We've hit. So you guys are actually getting kind of spoiled. So we have a few things to cover on this show, and we'll kind of just get right into it. But the main theme of the show is talking about just the lack of individuals, um, especially men. We're gonna hold the men accountable. Women have a different standard, but especially the men. And when we talk about being Muslims, where we have multiple ayats in the Quran, where Allah tells Muslims that we're a nation that upholds the good and forbids the evil. And there's multiple hadiths about speaking up against oppression. We have the well-known hadith that's in the 40 hadith Nawawi, when Rasul Sallallahu tells us there's basically three ways to handle corruption or wrongs. When you see wrongs happening, the first one is to stop it with your hands. And if you can't do that, the second one is to speak out against it. And if you can't do that, the third one is to hate it in your heart. And to hate it in your heart is the weakest one. And you would think that manly men that are trying to hold on to some type of masculinity, Islamic masculinity, that they would try their best to adhere to the first two as their default. However, we find a lot of people adhering to the last one, the last option, the weakest part, where they allegedly hate it in your heart. And it's very unfortunate that we have a lot of people that no matter what goes on, no matter how much time has passed, no matter what type of transgression goes on, no matter really what goes on, people can be in a safe space or not. They will not speak out publicly about the falsehood of the cult of TMOA or Al Fukra or MOA or Mubarak Jalani's cult. They just won't say anything. And everybody, I haven't talked to anybody that I felt was in a position to like, okay, yeah, you need to speak out now. Where they haven't given me the same exact story as everybody else. And it kind of boils down to like, yeah, I'm in a certain position and, it's going to upset my mother, my brother, my father, my grandmother. I'm just trying to deal with my family, which is fine. Alhamdulillah, you want to deal with your family. But then most of these people, their family don't even know what their position is. They keep it secret from their own family, their own wives, their own children. And for me, when these things come up, and Mubarak and Amr chime in at any point here. When these things come up, I always ask myself, and I ask them too, like, what is more important? The possibility of you losing or straining your relationship with this person you allegedly love and care about in this life, or you losing that relationship in the hereafter where they possibly could go to hell based off of these false beliefs that they're holding on to.
It's definitely more important to protect the relationships in paradise, right? Because this world is a test, obviously, right? And Jafar mentioned about how people like, listen, like I'm not gonna speak out because my mother would, she would find fault with this or it would hurt her, right? The story of a Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas comes to mind, right? Where he converted to Islam and his mother was saying how if you don't freaking denounce this new religion, I will not eat again, right? So she's going on hunger strike for freaking days, right? And that is his mom, obviously, right? He's a Sahabi. And he says, listen, mom, I love you, but listen, I'm not going to come back to the religion of Jahiliyyah for you, right? So you should take anyone who's using the excuse of like, oh, my mom or my dad or whatever is against this. It's called prophet to them. Listen, look at the story of Sa'd ibn Waqqas and see what happens to him, his life, all right? It's ultimately worth it, all right? So the hereafter is much more important than the current world we're living in.
Yeah. And I think is that the same one where I believe the Sahaba had went to Umar, and it was either Umar or Bakr, and it was like, listen, because she had threatened, like, I'm not going to eat, I'm not going to cut my hair, I'm not going to bathe or whatever. And he was like, listen, she's going to get lice, and then she's going to cut her hair, she's going to get something, and then she's gonna wash up. She's gonna get hungry. She's gonna eat. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, all those worldly things are gonna you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's really unfortunate. And like we had a prime case, and I'm gonna say what it is. You know, and this is I'm gonna cast a wide net, and some people may be offended by this. Some people that I'm close with or not. Um, and of course, it doesn't apply to every single person, but it applies to most people. Like 99% of people. It's just cowardly, straight up. It's straight up being a coward, and it really is a detriment to the dawah or the mission that we're trying to do with R2F, or just being just being Muslim, where we have all these people that we allegedly you care about them so much that you don't want to upset them by telling them the truth. But we should know as being adults, and especially being men, that we're leaders. We're leaders in our household. We're leaders maybe at our jobs or other situations where we are in a position that we have to tell people what they don't want to hear because it's for their betterment, their betterment, right? It's going to improve them. It's going to help them. And not only is it going to help them, be selfish about it. It's going to help you with the blessings.
Yeah. Is my audio good?
Yeah,
I probably got everything going. Okay, alhamdulillah. So it's like the saying, and I don't know who originated it. So hopefully the credit to get back to that person, someone picks up on what I'm saying, then they can get it to them. But it's a saying, they say that tough times are created by weak men. Okay, tough times are created by weak men, and then those tough times create strong men. So because men are weak, it produces a situation to where tough times come about due to the weakness of the men. Okay. Then during those tough times, it creates strong men. Then those strong men create the easy times. They due to the strength of those men, they make it easy and comfortable for everyone else. Then when it becomes comfortable for everyone, those men who are then living in the comfort, they become weak men again. And then because of those weak men, the tough and difficult times come. And then it's a cycle that keeps going and going and going. So if we look at that, we have to ask ourselves, what category of men are we? Are we the men in the tough and difficult time that we are becoming those strong and brave men, or are we the men who are the weak ones that have created the tough and difficult time that we're in? Which one is it? You know, due to the weakness or the cowardice of the men is the reason why cults are able to sustain and maintain and continue. It's the only reason. There's not another reason for why TMOA is still existing, except for the simple fact that there are men, a lot of them, inside and outside of this cult, but attached to it in some way, who are not able to come together and produce enough strength and force to shut it down and stop it.
Yep.
They'll complain about it privately in their car on their way to work. They'll bang on their steering wheel. They'll punch their keyboard and type messages or whatever. Maybe they'll put somewhat sort of a cryptic WhatsApp status. But for the most part, and there are some, but there's obviously not enough. And those some, and I include us in those some men, maybe we're not strong enough. Maybe we're part of the weak men who just, maybe you're trying, but you just don't have what it takes to shut it down. You don't have the strength. You're not able, because one of the strengths of men, one of the things of men, they are able to galvanize other men and bring other men together. So this is an admonition for us as well. Maybe. But the point is, the fact of the matter is, The only reason why TMOA or any other type of cult like that, where you have women being oppressed, children being oppressed, families and people being taken advantage of physically, sexually, monetarily, socially, and everything across the board, they're able to be maintained because the men just can't get it done.
Yeah.
And if we can say, if we can lay our head on the pillow at night and say, you know what, I did everything that I could do, and I wasn't afraid to put myself and my neck on the line to save other people, to help other people.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the reward that Allah will give you for you taking that chance, taking the initiative and saying, I'm not going to let what happened to me happen to someone else. I'm not going to stand by and let people who saying they're representing Allah and Rasulullah committing shirk and then teaching other people shirk and generations upon generations. I won't let it happen due to your ghira for Allah and the messenger and the religion of Al-Islam, these type of things. So we have to ask ourselves and really say, am I doing? Can I do more? Is it because I am afraid? Is it because I'm comfortable? Because the situation that I'm in, I feel good. I'm fine. I got my finances together. I got a girl or a wife, I should say. I got a wife and my kids are, doing well or whatever. And, it's okay. Meanwhile, my brother's in shirk, deep in shirk. My mother's still deep in shirk. My father, my friends, half of my friends' family is cutting them off and all these different things. But it's okay. I'm waiting for the right time. I'm waiting for the right time to say something or to do something. I would have, I should have. There was a story a brother told me. I'm sorry, I'm going on a little rant. There was a story a brother told me about it was during either the war in Bosnia or Kosovo or one of these places where there was a man who there was a situation where they were rounding up the men, right? They were rounding up the men or they were doing something where they were looking for the men. It so happened to where this man, and he was a Muslim, he hid up in the ceiling. His wife and his daughters didn't hide. They weren't looking for the women per se, but they were looking for the men. Maybe they were looking for him. He hid in the ceiling, right? He was up in the ceiling. He could see the men who came in his house. He could see his wife and his daughters. He could see them with his own eyes, and he could hear everything. They came in. They said, "Where's Fulan?" His wife and his daughter says, "We don't know. We don't know where Fulan is." Fulan kept quiet. So what these men did, the enemy soldiers, what they did was what enemy soldiers normally do when there's no men around to protect the women. So they took advantage of his wife and his daughters. I think we know what happened. But that's not even the worst part. Fulan watched with his own eyes. He could see everything from his vantage point. He could hear everything. And his people, his wife and daughters, knew he was in the ceiling watching. And he didn't say a word. He watched everything that happened. He heard everything that happened. And the soldiers left, and then he came down. Now, that story that I told, it's a true account from what was reported to me. But the thing about it is, what's happened to that man's wife and children is not as worse as the shirk that's being perpetrated in the name of Allah. It's not even as worse. Because those men who did that to those people, perhaps they would have the chance of being forgiven by Allah for even that terrible thing that they did. And even Fulan, the coward who hid in the ceiling and watched. And we know the hadith of Rasulullah, the person who dies defending his family or his property is a martyr. He had a ticket to Jannah. He had it. It was right there in his face, but he didn't take it.
You know what this reminds me of is that a lot of these people, we know a lot of these people in and outside of that are still stuck in, and people that have left. we grew up all together, and we've had these talks, and you hear people like, yeah, once jihad comes, I'm there, I'm ready, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. They got their guns, they got their, like ammunition, they're all ready. Like, but jihad is one thing. This is why Allah talks about it's really a test. Allah talks about it's a serious test. And we think that we're just gonna be able to pick up and like, yeah, let's get it. I'm in it. But you can't even, just like Mubarak said, defending your family, defending your property. This is jihad. You will be called a martyr if you die for it. Just like that man hid in the ceiling. I'm pretty sure when he was sitting back, like, if anything ever goes down, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. I'm a manly man. But then when the time comes for you actually to do something as a Muslim man, you hide in the ceiling. And this is exactly what everybody is doing, is they're hiding in the ceiling, watching all these people that they supposedly love and care about in TMOA getting raped every single day. And not only getting raped on a pathway that's, if they keep following it and if they keep believing in it, is surely going to lead them right to the doorsteps of hell.
And the thing is, Fulan, I'm sure in his mind he was thinking, okay, and he probably told him before he went up in the ceiling, I'm going up in the ceiling, but if this happens, I'm gonna come down. If this happens, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. This, blah, blah, blah. He had a whole plan laid out for what he was going to do when the time was right. The right thing to do was women and children go up to the ceiling, or maybe we all go up to the ceiling together. But when they come, if the time comes, I'm gonna take the hit, but we're gonna do what's right. I'm not gonna leave you to be abused and to continue to have to be in a situation where you're in harm's way. What's a greater harm than to be subjected to a belief system and a social and economic system in which your iman and your Islam is severely in question? There's nothing that's going to be worse than shirk and those beliefs being pushed on a person. You have the opportunity, just like Fulan was in the ceiling. He had the opportunity. He had opportunity over and over and over again to do the right thing, even when the wrong happened. He's watching it with his eyes, but he's frozen up. He can't move. And after the fact, sure, he's going to have a lot of, well, I should have did it. And if it happens again, he's ready. But this life, you live one time. Every day that goes past, every moment that goes past is an opportunity that you won't get again. It's not like, oh, it's going to come again. How many people have passed away, died, and they died believing in this thing. Their account, their situation is with Allah. We don't know where they will be, but we don't know when we would pass away. And also on top of that, if you just take it at a personal level, we don't know when we ourselves will pass away. And to think you're just going to skate into Jannah because you had the correct belief, but maybe your deeds won't get you there. Maybe your ibadah won't get you there. And maybe just due to the weakness and lack of ghira and lack of action on behalf of Allah and His Messenger, and on the people that were oppressed, the people that couldn't or wouldn't or didn't have the opportunity to speak out, that you weren't there, those deeds that would have gotten you over the hump, that would have gotten you there, and you wind up saying, "Ya laytani qaddamtu li hayati." I wish I sent something forward for my future life. But instead, oh, it'll be this time, or it'll be that time, or next time, or when I get the opportunity, when my situation gets right. What if the Sahaba did that in Badr? What if they did that? They say, hey, listen, we're weak. We only got 300. We don't even have, we have what? 1 horse, 4 camels, no weapons, nothing. What if the Muslims every time they faced the enemy, they looked at the numbers, looked at the situation, and says, "Oh, we got to have hikmah with this situation. We have to. We're dealing with it. I got to think of myself. My situation is not perfect. The situation for the Muslim is never going to be perfect. That's the test. Allah always stacks the deck against the righteous. He stacks the deck against those people who are the strongest, because that's what a test is. If it was a matter of where you have all these big shuyukh and all these students of knowledge and thousands of people speaking out, it would be easy for someone to just say, oh yeah, that what they said.
Yeah.
But no, this is where the biggest gains are made. And that's why even Allah said in Surah Al-Hadid about how the people who came before the conquest of Mecca and those who came after are not the same. They're not equal. They can both get a reward. Everybody can get a reward, but the people who came before, when the situation was in flux and when it was in doubt and when there was a chance for a loss of wealth or property or life or honor or dignity or whatever, but they still said this is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And they did it. This is where the real currency is made. It's not after the fact where you come along and say, yeah, or on the sideline, saying one thing or another. And it's not just the people that are on the sideline. It's a lot of people that are, so to speak, are off the sideline, but still, it's like you have the opportunity, you have the ability to say something and to do something, but it's simply a matter of the comfort and the safety and the satisfaction of where you're at. And at the end of the day, it's a matter of just not caring enough about the people who are oppressed and who are in the situation to say and do something. Even the slightest discomfort, even just a friend of yours or a few friends being upset with you, is not, you losing that is not worth the people who need to be spoken for. Like they're not, they're insignificant. And even the religion of Allah, people saying things that's wrong against Allah and His Messenger and these things, that's not heavy enough for you to move you out of your comfort zone and out of your box and out of the safety of what you have going on. That's just the fact of the matter. And we can be right about it or we can be wrong about it. And as Allah says, يوم القيامة فيحكم بينهم يوم القيامة فيه ما كانوا فيه يختلفون. On Yawm al-Qiyamah, he's gonna judge between the people about what you differed about. But that's our position on the matter.
Yeah. And I'll just end with this. And you might think that for the people that are listening to this, you might think that you speaking out publicly is like, well, who am I? Who, my family already knows, my close connections already know. What is me speaking out publicly going to do? And you have to have a little bit about psychology, is that the numbers have a great effect on the human psychology. And you never know that you speaking out and somebody just knowing that, hey, there's another person that doesn't believe in this, can cause dozens of people to be like, yeah, I'm done with this. There's just that your one voice, your one statement of being public. And then also what it does, it turns you, without you having to do anything, being a constant source of dawah. Just like our sisters, our sisters that are out there in like these Western societies, every time they go out wearing hijab, niqab, whatever, they don't have to do anything. Just go to the store, and as long as they're not acting like, some people act, as long as they're acting like good Muslims, it's a source of dawah, because everybody looking at them is like, hey, that's a Muslim. Now everybody looking at you is like, hey, that's another person that left the cult. And we constantly reference the hadith about, if you guide one person to good, is better than 100 red camels. It's better than anything that we can think about on this earth. So just think about that. It has a great power. The more numbers we have of people speaking publicly, the better chance we have of guiding more people and help putting an end to this. I don't know if I've studied a lot of cults. I don't know of one cult that has been severely hurt, put an end to, or whatever, without a big group of people coming out and speaking out publicly. Yeah, this is wrong. I don't believe in it. I do not know of not one that has done that. So if you think it's just going to go away, and we have this mindset of Allah's going to do what He's going to do no matter what. Our jobs as Muslim is to try to grab onto whatever Allah is doing and get as much blessings as possible while he does whatever he does with this organization.
Hmm.
You know?
And I'll just add this is that for the people who are doing their best and putting forth the effort and really doing everything that they can do, you have to know that Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was the most successful human being ever. Okay, and look at the struggle that he went through. 23 years of grinding really hard. I mean, the whole 23 years of really putting in some serious work and really having to deal with a lot of different things, a lot of different fronts, especially those first 13.
Mm-hmm.
But even on top of that, there are some messengers, some nabis, some prophets of Allah who will come on Qiyamah with 0 followers. No one actually stepped up. No one did. So I say that for those people who are saying, man, I'm saying everything I can say. I'm doing everything I can do. I'm taking my time, my effort, my energy for in trying to help people, but no one's answering the call. Even the people who can do, they're just not stepping up. They're not helping. They're not even helping their own people, their own families, mothers and fathers are stuck. Their own siblings are stuck, and they're not doing anything. And they're not responding to the call. They're not even willing to put forth any effort. So you have to know that even the messengers, imagine those messengers who were given the call for however long they did and are going to come on Qiyamah with no ummah, no followers, none, no people who actually heard what they said, listened to the words of Allah and the messenger and said, okay, I believe and I'm going to not only believe and then follow that belief up with action. Because this is the thing that you have to know about Iman. Iman is belief in something, belief in Islam. To believe in Islam, it's not enough to say, okay, I believe in it. You actually have to follow up your belief with action. Otherwise, it's not Iman. It's just you saying La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. But if you don't pray and you don't fast, you don't give your zakat when you have the money, and you don't go make hajj when you're able to, and you just neglect all these things, the basics of Islam, and you don't avoid, some of the things that Allah tells you to avoid and do what Allah tells you to do, your actions have to be there. If the actions don't follow the words that you say, your professed belief on the tongue, then you don't have Iman. Iman has to be coupled with action. That's why every time you see in Quran, it says, Alladina amanu, those who believe, wa amilu salihat, and they do righteous actions. It's always together. Find the people who believe without righteous actions. You won't be able to find it as far as them getting the reward for their belief. It's there. That's a requirement. So similarly to your Islam, for you to really be able to say and actually get the reward for your belief, you have to follow it up with the action. Otherwise, it's wasted. Similarly, for you to say, I don't believe in the cult, I don't believe in Jelani, I believe it's oppression, I think that they're wrong and they should be stopped, and this is a cult, and all these things that you say, but there's no action in your life that actually bears that out. How can a person say, man, I believe this whole thing is a fraud and a cult, but you're living there? You're there. Every time you meet one of them, you're chilling with them. You're playing basketball with them. They're saying, may Imam Rashid live forever.
Collecting membership dues. We got people collecting membership dues that don't believe in this stuff. It's like, yo, what are you doing?
Collecting the membership dues and actually giving it to the admin.
Yeah, it's like, you know where it's going. It's going to gold bars.
Like, going on more. I mean, I'm still that money.
I think it's like a real like and we'll call it, it's a real pandemic, but something's going on with them. And like, even like we had this show where we mentioned the brother Fayed, where this is what the cult mindset, it really does reverse your mindset and makes men act unmanly. And like we had the show about Fayed, and it's no big deal. It's whatever. We talked about how he went back to the cult, and we mentioned how what they said about his father being in hell, what they've done to his family, his siblings, and all these different things. And we directly said on the show, we know you're going to be mad when you hear this, but before you call us make sure you call them about how they talked about Jabu and how the
Mhm.
Mubarak Jelani said he was in hell. What did he do? Called us, called me, and issued all types of veiled threats or whatever. And it's like really, like what is going on? What and Mubarak mentioned it earlier in our room, but like it really makes you question what is going on in the world today with men. Where are they? What happened?
I mean, and listen, Faid, it's nothing personal. It's not even an attack. And I would issue an apology to you from us if your feelings got hurt, which obviously they did, because the reaction is the reaction of a person whose feelings were hurt. And it's so it's not a matter of hurting anybody's feelings or trying to. That's not the goal. The goal is to just shine a light and bring out the truth of the situation. The situation, maybe you didn't know. Maybe you didn't know those things that they said about your father. And so it might be a touchy thing, but look into it. I still say if you haven't called Umnor up directly, do it. If not, why not? But it is one of the traits of men, a manly trait, is that it's not about, even Rasulullah says that the strong person is not the person that can slam the other person down, but the person who can control himself in a time of anger. So to call a brother and levy a bunch of threats or whatever, it's like overly emotional. I mean, and I don't want to get caught up in a thing where we keep referring to things that some of these men do and how they act like women or females. It's a disrespectful to the women, because a lot of the women I know don't even act like this.
Yep.
They really have much better control of their emotions, even though they get emotional, but they have better control of their emotions than these people do. I mean, the first thing is you jump and you call up a person and you're going off and all this. It's like, this is such an emotional response. We weren't emotional when we were talking. We weren't overly emotional, and we were just like now. I mean, it's just business, man. It's just business. We are really defending you, and we're defending your father and trying to defend the honor of the Muslims and the people who are there. But I mean, you can't. I mean, to automatically react. This shows a weakness in decision making, poor decision making, a weakness in mental faculties, that where you can't call a person up and have a discussion. I mean, you can call in right now. You can call in right now and just say your piece without yelling, without hollering. Because when you have to yell and use profanity or whatever, it means you don't have the vocabulary or the tools to express yourself clearly, or you can't articulate yourself. Maybe you can talk to someone else, and then they can relay the message to who you want to get it to. Like if you want to talk to Jafar, tell somebody, and maybe someone who's better at relaying information and talking can get it to him, because one thing Jafar said was like, I can barely understand what the dude was saying. And I'm so, hey, listen, okay, seriously though. I mean, this is a lesson for all of us, and we're trying to help the men here. We really need a lot of help. We're taking serious L's across the board, and when I say we, I mean y'all. Y'all are taking a lot of L's. Because what's going on, man? I mean, every day I hear a story about and it gets worse and worse, about the most cowardly, weakest, overly emotional Joan. I mean, like seriously, and it's like, okay, I know right now somebody's thinking, okay, I'm gonna show him, maybe I'm gonna get a gun. Maybe you're thinking about shooting me. Maybe you think you're just gonna come and just find me at work and just punch me in the face or something like that. Okay, that's still weak. Like, I mean, that doesn't show that you're manly. That shows that you're overly emotional and you don't mind going to jail. You don't mind like assaulting someone for no reason. Like you don't care. Do you have wife? Do you have kids? I mean, like you're telling us.
It shows that they're so weak, they're willing to go to jail to make people believe that they're tough. Yep. That's literally what it is. I'm gonna go to jail for this. I ain't gonna.
And like, I mean, it's kind of weak as a man to be like seeking validation from others, because really all this is for Farid or anyone who calls up Jaffer or Mubarak or I, right, from the Jamaat. You're just trying to call up and say, listen, I spoke to one of the people from R2F. I told them my piece. I was harsh with them, and they know exactly what I'm about. And really, it's not for you because you don't really care. But you can go say to anyone in the Jamaat, the K2s, the Muhammad Ahmeds, whatever. Like, yeah, I told them, yes, they know, but I'm down for the cause. Like, yeah, like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
You're not tough.
That's all it is.
Yeah,
That's all it is.
And I mean, sadly, the thing is, he's probably going to wind up getting kicked out of Jamaat
again. Yeah,
because first of all, you watch the show, which is against Jamaat policy. To watch this show is against Jamaat policy, even though everybody watches it. Even admin watches it because they refer to it in some stuff we won't mention, but they watch the show. But you watching the show is against Jamaat policy. You calling Jafar is against Jamaat policy. You talking to him is against Jamaat policy. You called Jafar before you called Noor. I mean, Jafar is irrelevant as far as you're concerned when it comes to the situation that the Jamaat is doing and the situation with your father and the family, whatever the case may be. That would be the first call I would make. You know, what's your stance on my dad? I mean, that's what I would do. But the thing is, everything that you did up until now is against Jamaat policy. So, I mean, they either have to. I mean, they probably won't. Now they probably would try to ignore it because we're like, you got to kick this dude out of Jamaat. You actually have to, actually. And it would be good for you to get kicked out of Jamaat. You ain't got to worry about it. I mean, it's like you can go, you know, just be a normal Muslim. But they either got to kick you out, otherwise they're hypocrites because they kick people out for liking a post.
Yeah,
you called up. First of all, you watched the show, which is forbidden, and then you called one of the. I mean, he's one of the barking dogs or whatever he is. I mean, all the different things. So you broke all types of violations. So as soon as and he probably won't, because this is the thing. He'll have some smoke. He probably will walk right past Noor at an Eid or event or whatever. I mean, maybe give her salams, maybe give her a flower, a rose or something or whatever. Say, your eminence, your sheikh, whatever. But won't have no smoke. I mean, zero.
Yeah.
But on the phone, we'll have lots of smoke. I mean, it's not really tough. Even if you were to come and find Jafar sitting down eating dinner with his family or something like that and tell him off, you're still not tough for that. That's weak. You know what tough is? I'll give you an example of what being tough and really being a manly man is. It's helping people who don't even deserve it, maybe, or there's nothing in return that you might get. And they don't even appreciate it, but you're doing it because you know it's the right thing to do. And regardless of what they can reciprocate, or regardless of their appreciation, you take the time out of your day and your money and your effort and your energy and your blood and your sweat and your tears, and you put it into what you know needs to be done, knowing that no one might even thank you for it or recognize it or even appreciate it. The thing is, Allah always appreciates the good that you do. Inna hadha kana lakum sa'yakum wa kana sa'yukum mashkura. When Allah says, this is your reward, inna hadha kana lakum jaza'an wa kana sa'yukum mashkura. That's the ayah that Allah says, this is the reward that I give for you. Allah says this is your reward. And Allah says, I appreciate your effort. This is what we work for. That's the manly thing to do. And we don't care about clout. We don't care if a person, you're disrespecting me or whatever, blah, blah. That's we ain't overly emotional like that, man. Yeah. You might have some emotion. You might get worked up here or there. But for the most part, a man can be counted on that when things need to be done, when something needs to be said, when work needs to be done, when people need to get checked, when things need to be set straight, the men show up and do it. That's manliness. That's toughness. It ain't teetering and flirting with a felony charge or an assault charge or verbally assaulting someone over the phone. That's anyone can do that.
But not only is TMOA dealing with the pandemic of castration, they're dealing with the pandemic of the coronavirus
again.
And I think we have some screenshots. So let's and when you're in cults, you really have to pay attention to detail, and not even that hard. But if you just care and pay attention and watch where they severely contradict themselves, then you could see a lot of holes. So we're going to show you a little excerpt of a memo they sent out when we had the first coronavirus pandemic. I think do you have it up, Mom, or you want me to share it?
You can share it.
I can't. Yo, TMOA medical team. Just it cracks me up every time I see it. Like,
I was about to say,
hey, y'all
they
killed your
killed
own
that nigga, man.
Come on, that medical team should have been disbanded. I mean, y'all killed your own machine. Y'all shouldn't even be
Man, this
pretending to give
joint
no
is
medical
long
advice.
as heck.
But I mean, low key, that was probably a plan from Norfolk. She was like, "Listen, I have to get my husband out of here, but like, this nigga has been terrorizing me since I was like 18. But pack him up, all right." Conspiracy 101 right there, right? Or actually had it out, man.
She probably hit one of the doctors probably was like, he came out of the room sweating like 95. He's like, yo, Omnor, if we give him one more injection, he might die. She did the Rocky jaw like, if he dies.
Oh man,
he died. Finish him. Pack him up. Oh man.
All right, so here we got this I just copied and pasted.
God damn, it's long as hell.
I didn't even realize it's this long, but we'll get right to
official CDC.
We'll get right to what the part we want to focus in on. This is where they basically Abuja stated that all those who are drinking Mubarak water with consistency will not be affected, inshallah. And then they get directions about like what you need to do to protect yourself from the coronavirus. Consume Mubarak water. Right here, consume Mubarak water. And this is the Abuja said that consuming Mubarak water will give you protection, inshallah.
Okay, so what's the date? Did you already say the date on this, John?
I don't.
What was the date?
Look again. Consume Mubarak water. Let's see. Let's get this joint was long. I don't have the date.
I have a date for that. So.
Yeah, it was in the beginning of the pandemic or whatever. So it was around, whatever before he died, I guess.
After the girl had the dream.
And listen, these people, they know what it is. They had the videos. They had people making videos about the Joan. Yeah, I found a hair. I found a hair in my book.
I found several hairs in my book of different races, like a white girl's hair, a black guy's hair. Like
dudes are selling like, yo, I got like 30 hairs if any of y'all want some. It's like, what are y'all doing?
Yeah. So the Joan. So in the memo, let me see if I can see it where the Joan says, because I can't really see it on the screen, honestly. But it says
go look at it. Look at the one in the room. I gotta post it in the room,
and it had it. Yeah. Well. Oh wow. I just realized that I forgot. I meant to mention that, John. I forgot about it. But they also mentioned that there are لخمسة or whatever the huge shirk, complete total shirk dua. That's also in there. I mean, these things, man. I mean, I don't know when people are going to wake up. Just listen to the words that we're saying. This dua, the li khamsatun lutfi biha, whatever. I forgot how the dua goes, but it's 100% shirk. The dua, the English is these 5 are enough for me. And he's talking about the 5 they're talking about is Ali, Fatima, Hassan, Hussein, and it's one other. Who else are they talking about in these 5? Okay. But this is shirk.
Is it?
And they're saying that they're enough to save you from all calamities and disasters. But this is shirk. You cannot say this dua. And the thing is, it's like this dua alone can get you into hell. It can get you into Jahannam. Saying this dua, because Allah won't forgive shirk. This is the one thing that he won't forgive. And if you say it out of ignorance, maybe Allah will overlook that because you didn't know. But we're telling you. Yeah. We're telling you what it says. I mean, do it for yourself. Look at the Arabic and then just do a simple Google translation or look at the translation of it. It's pure shirk. I mean, that's the worst thing in the junk. That's worse than the hair water. Yeah. I mean, honestly.
Well, this is the one that this is the updated one that they issued like a week ago or whatever. Mm-hmm. Notice they did not put anything about the Mubarak water in this one, right? So Mubarak Jalani is alive, and they're like, this Mubarak water is going to protect you. Drink it. It's going to save you from both memos were from the TMOA medical department, right? And this one, they're like, yeah, let's go ahead and abandon that hair water.
I mean, so my question, and listen, and if y'all don't do this, y'all are cowards. You're pure cowards if you don't do this. Ask the Shura Council. Ask Noor. Ask your people. Why in 2020 during the pandemic we were drinking hair water? Why is it erased now? Why aren't we doing this now? Well, why is it gone? I mean, did the cure change?
Ask them this instead. Actually, ask them since we already have consumed the bark water previously. Is this not like a cure-all for all coronaviruses? Because listen personally, I was drinking that shit every day. Okay, so so I should be. I don't if there's freaking COVID-19, 2021, 47. I don't care. I should be cured for all that crap. Okay, I shouldn't need to take any more guidelines, no vaccines, no freaking mask man, nothing. I should be just safe. All right.
Nope. It's really a joke.
These niggas are so stupid, dog.
Yeah, and we're sorry we're laughing at you guys, but you guys have to realize that this stuff is very laughable. Like, come on, like,
yo, hold on. I mean, yo, y'all are cowards. Listen to this. Listen to this, yo. It just says Abuji has stated that all those who are drinking Mubarak water with consistency will not be affected. Inshallah. That's like a little asterisk.
I'm about to say.
Okay. Morshid Camille continued to inquire about the condition of well-being. Daggone ghostwriter. He wasn't saying nothing. This man was a vegetable. I mean, when you read it after that, you're like, he wasn't saying a dang on thing. Anyway. But he said, let there be no doubt that it is solely due to Allah's divine rahmah. He Almighty has saved this community from destruction.
But not the community leader.
It was his time to go, man. Shoot.
Yeah, but okay. So basically, we have him literally, very clearly saying two things. Okay, he very clearly said Abuji has stated. Now, hold up. Some of y'all might say, "Well, Abuji didn't say that." He's saying that. Okay, then whoever said this is a liar. Either your Morshid Kamil is a incompetent, because Camille doesn't mean competent. He's incompetent. This is only one of three things. He's either completely incompetent because the Mubarak water recipe, it should keep working. Why is it not working? I mean, does it have like a expiration date on it or whatever? What the heck?
Drink it within 2 hours of finding the hair.
Or like maybe it doesn't work because he's not here anymore, right? Like maybe Marjorie has to be alive for it to be a cure, right? Because now that he's dead, maybe we're gonna get the hair water. Who knows?
It's very simple. Y'all gotta ask admin. Ask them, should we still drink Mubarak water? They didn't put it in the memo. You think they forgot? You think they just forgot about it? They didn't forget. They omitted it. They deleted it. And one of the things about people who are deceptive and taking advantage of you and trying to trick you is it's not always what they say. It's what they don't say, what they leave out. They think you're stupid. They think you're not smart enough to realize the last memo about the pandemic you sent was a full-blown recipe for Mubarak water to drink. I had y'all niggas coughing up hairballs and stuff, all the pandemic, and now, I mean, think of all y'all that went through that. Now, listen, I know some of y'all people was actually drinking water. Y'all were drinking hair water. Y'all were doing it. Y'all were looking in books, getting little pieces of hair, putting in water, drinking it. Now, I mean, that's just all in vain. I mean, you should be mad.
And they got COVID too.
Yep.
And they got COVID. It's like,
you should at least be upset that you were made a fool of. At least approach them on that. I mean, you're not even going to approach them and be like, yo, we was drinking hair water. Why? Why were we drinking hair water? And now you're just like nothing happened. Yeah. That's like me telling you, yo, I got the numbers. I got the numbers to the lottery. I got it. Like I got the system. I have the exact numbers. If you play we don't play the Powerball, but it's like, okay, listen, just for story's sake, right? Okay, I got the numbers. I already got them or whatever. If you play these, you're gonna win. You play them, Jones, and they're completely wrong. And then I see you the next day, and I don't say nothing about it. I'm just quiet. I mean, that's literally what's happening. They're telling you they got the cure for the Jones, and then all of a sudden it don't work. And then they're just gonna omit it completely. Yep. Yeah, these are the type of things that they do. They think you're stupid, and if you say something, what do they say? They're not gonna
respected community members.
They're not gonna own it. They're not gonna be like, oh well, we found out that actually wasn't. They're not even gonna make up nothing. They're gonna say, close your mouth. If you ask too many questions, they're gonna throw you out. You're respected behind. They're going to throw your very well-respected behind out the Jamaat for doing what? Asking about something that was in a memo that they sent.
And you know what? We have, and we mentioned this when we first started talking about this hair water. They're talking about the medical team. They actually have a responsibility to issue a statement about the Mubarak water. Because if you determine that if you think it still works, why aren't you telling people about this cure, right?
Oh,
if it doesn't work, why won't you say, you know what? We made a mistake. For all those who believe that this is actually protecting you from COVID, it is not protecting you. Stop drinking it. You have a duty.
And you can actually, if someone was really smart, I mean, I almost wish I would have drank some hair water now because I could have done this, but I ain't drinking none, so I can't even do it. Plus, I'm not in TMOA, but still, y'all could actually get this TMOA medical team for malpractice. They gave this TMOA medical team, whoever it is, I mean, they got some actual licensed doctors on the alleged TMOA medical team. Y'all dudes is giving out medical advice. The TMOA, you got it signed at the bottom, TMOA medical team. So whichever one of y'all people consider yourself part of the TMOA medical team, y'all instructed people to drink hair water. I mean, you're mixing stuff. If you're in a medical team, you got to be giving medical advice. Let the spiritual team or the fiqh team or the sheikh, whatever team give you some spiritual whatever. But I'm pretty sure that if you bring them up to any sort of medical board, medical review or whatever for a prescription that they instructed you to drink some hair water, and there is no medical doctor anywhere on the planet that will say that this is an actual treatment of any kind for any illness, let alone COVID-19. So y'all could, I mean, someone could, if someone was really smart, they could file a lawsuit. They'd be like, "Yo, I got COVID because the TMOA medical team."
That someone could do probably right now. I would do it if I had the time and energy to go do it because they have that memo right there. Take that memo, go send it to the boards. You got doctors' boards and all that, and say these are the people in the medical TMOA medical department, and they'll have to do some kind of inquiry or something.
They instructed me to drink hair water. I still have, I have my throat has been scratchy since 2020.
Ever since then,
I drink a hair, and I want some damages. I mean, seriously, this is a serious thing. Like medically, they gave you some medical advice that, I mean, if you take them to court, you will win. There's no doctor nowhere that can say, based on medical training, this is a prescription. Now, you saying a dua or something like that, it's different. You're just saying it, but they're actually telling you to ingest something. They're giving you something to ingest. Like if I tell you, hey, listen, if you want to get the itch out of your throat, crush up some glass and drink it. I mean, if you get damaged, I mean, I could be liable for that because I gave you some medical advice. They gave you some medical advice about something. Now, if perhaps you didn't get cured, you still got COVID, or you still have a hair stuck in your throat to this day, you got a case and you can pursue it.
So we're getting to the end. We kind of ran over, but we do have a guest who wants to come on and ask some questions. Assalamu alaikum, brother Dawood. How are you doing?
Alaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How your brothers doing today?
Alhamdulillah, we're doing good. So we can just jump right in. You could just go. Sorry, we took a little bit longer, but we're all long-winded, but we can get right into it. You can just go ahead and ask your questions far away. We'll give you the best answers we have.
Well, first of all, I want to say, man, I appreciate y'all brothers for having me, man. I like to just listen to y'all brothers just give it up. You know what I mean? Be too long-winded, inshallah. We get to some answers and pretty much put this out there for people who don't know. You know what I mean? Okay. My first question is, which book do you prefer, or is the second most important book besides the Quran?
I would say
your own opinion. Let me state that.
Yeah, my own opinion. I think it's probably gonna be most Muslims' opinion is that, and there's quotes that the most authentic book that we have after the Quran is Sahih Bukhari.
Yeah.
So that would be the second most important book in my opinion. That I would label that with. So
Yeah, I think that's pretty standard. Yeah.
Yep.
I agree.
Bukhari. Yeah, easy.
Okay. All right. My second question is, what would be the third book of importance to you, each individually, of besides the first one that you mentioned,
Mhm.
would be the third most important to you?
The
Besides
third for me, I think, would either I'd have to. It'd be a toss up. It'd either be Sahih Muslim, of course, because that's like going to be right under Bukhari, the two Sahis.
Mhm.
Or I'm thinking of the Musnad of Imam Ahmed
Ahmed,
because it has so many hadiths in that, and I believe the Musnad gives the hadiths by the actual narrator, if I'm correct.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, basically, any of the hadith kutub sitta, the six, the most famous books. There's more than that, but
yeah.
and maybe
Yeah.
Bulugh al-Maram, which has like, which is really, really distills all that down to pretty much, the most authentic, or the, like, without the redundancy of some of the hadiths that are crossover. It really compiles really the ones that you really need, I would say.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I mean, I don't know. That's an easy question to say the third. I mean, we have so many available that you would handicap yourself by just limiting. So whatever's available, that's authentic.
You could even throw in like a Timothy in there as well, just as far as like a large population of hadiths you can go with. But probably mostly people would say Muslim and Bukhari and Muslim would be the next two, really.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually,
Okay.
no, I'm going to change my answer because, like, if it was right now and I'm about to be deserted on an island, I'd probably take one of
Tafsir.
the well-known not either a tafsir or a shah of Sahih Bukhari,
Okay.
like an explanation of Sahih Bukhari, because sometimes you can read hadiths and like you have no idea.
Yeah.
I was
Well, if you're on a deserted island, then
I guess it doesn't matter.
yeah. Just give me the Quran and the Tafsir, maybe, if I got to pick, because you're on a deserted island. I mean, that's
Yeah,
it.
that's
So
it,
you really, I might even go with like a Tajweed book or something to get to get it right. Or maybe a book to make sure I get the right translation. If I may have tweaked some words here or there. But if you're on a deserted island, it's just you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Big version in Kathir, yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna push on. My third question is, where does I want to say Ibn Ali rank amongst the caliphs in your opinion, your personal opinion?
Well, this isn't really up to opinion to a certain extent. According to Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, it's a consensus. And if you believe otherwise, actually, it actually takes you out of the fold of Islam, is that he's third or fourth. He's behind, and he's behind Umar. And that's consensus in Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. There's difference of opinion of whether he's third or fourth, because we know we go into the history of when they were deciding who would be the third Khalifa. It was between Ali radiallahu an and Uthman radiallahu an. So that right there, I agree with what the consensus is of the Ummah since dating back to the Sahabas.
Okay. Well, that brings us to the fourth one, right? I don't know much about this, and you're gonna have to clue me in on this because I don't know much about this particular. I want to call him Khalifa, but I don't know. It was only 4 men of the last 20 that I really recognize as a Khalifa. But do you agree with the Muawiyah state and his opinions and him being voted to the office? Do you agree with them and his opinions and him being voted to the office of Khalifa?
Well, I don't know, and I don't know as far as like there's an official stance from the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah regarding Muawiyah. He is a Sahaba, and as far as the Sahabas, I agree with all the Sahabas' opinions as long as they're in line with the Quran and the Sunnah. That doesn't mean Sahabas didn't make mistakes or whatever. But as far as Muawiyah is concerned, he was a Khalifa during the time he was a Khalifa. That's been established. As far as his opinions go, I do not know of his opinions regarding much, regarding anything, regarding the fitna that happened between him and Ali and all that. As far as our stance goes as being Sunni Muslims, is we know through authentic hadith that one party was more right than the other party. Yeah. And the party of Ali radiallahu anhu was more right, but, and I don't have the exact wording of hadith, but it didn't say Muawiyah was wrong.
Yep.
It said one party was more right than the other. So as Sunni Muslims, we say it was a fitna, and we don't cast judgment, because I know personally, he and any Sahaba at that time did a million times better than any decision I would have made in the same exact position.
Okay. All right. Number 5. Mm-hmm. And this was a little cloudy for me because I couldn't get it correctly. Today was I should have had it right. My memory kind of dogged on me. But number 5 anyway. Do you agree with Uthman Ibn Affan refusing to let Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam update his will in the last few days of his life?
Yeah, so that's a little bit that's a Shiite narrative, I believe, and we could do more. But the hadith, and one was Umar radiallahu anhu, and Rasul sallallahu was in great pain on his deathbed, a little bit kind of delirious by the pain. He asked for something to write with, and Umar said no. He said, I have something important to write. It wasn't a will. He said, I have something important to write that will guide you. I don't know exactly, but guide you after I'm gone. Or if you follow it, you won't be. So even that wording, that doesn't refer to a will. And if you look into the explanation of that by the scholars, they said that the following, I believe it was the following day or a day or two after that, when he actually got up and did address the Muslims, what he addressed the Muslims with was what he was going to write. Mm-hmm. So that is a Shiite narrative that they do to try to cast blame and find fault with Umar and Abu Bakr and all the Sahabas, really, because that's what they need to do.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. But yeah, I see the like. I want to apologize for number 5 because I was just throwing. I kind of didn't remember it. I was watching and didn't remember it. But number 6, and this is an opinion for all 3 of you. You know, any one of you. What is your opinion or your take on Allah's Bayt? If I pronounce that right, I'm not a
Ahlul Bayt. Yep, Ahlul Bayt. Yep. So Ahlul Bayt is the family or its descendants. Well, there's multiple answers to what's Ahlul Bayt. So Ahlul Bayt, according to the Sunnah, the Hadith, is the family of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which includes not only the descendants of Ali and Fatima radiallahu anha, it also includes Ja'far, Ibn Abbas, and all that, and basically anybody who cannot collect zakat. But in modern times, when you hear Ahlul Bayt, people are talking about the descendants of Ali and Fatima radiallahu anha.
Right.
So my opinion is not really. There's certain things that we don't really have like a personal opinions on. We have to default to what the Sunni, or other words, Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah stance is on it. And Ahlul Bayt, they're honored, they're respected, they're Muslims, like, you know, if they're Muslims like everybody else, if they do good deeds and all that. And as far as our position in our relationship to Ahlul Bayt is that we have to make sure we take care of their rights, make sure that they're taken care of. We have to try our best to make sure that they're not begging in the streets. We have to honor them. We have to respect them because they're related to Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But falsely, a lot of people, which we have to be very careful of, especially when we're talking about deviancy, cults, and these sorts of things, sectarianism, is that they hold Ahlul Bayt to an elevated, almost holy, saintly status,
right?
Where, you know, and that's not the position that we're supposed to take with Ahlul Bayt.
Yeah, okay. And if I could just add a little thing to that, because one thing that you have to also know about Ahlul Bayt, or people who claim to be Ahlul Bayt, and it's a situation where, like Ja'far said, how people put them into a lofty, exaggerated status that is outside of what is even acceptable. But what that also causes is human nature kicks in and people get greedy. And there is an enormous amount of people who have now attributed themselves and claim to be Ahlul Bayt. and they're not. I'll ask you a question, brother Dawood. Do you know where the majority of the claimants of being Ahlul Bayt reside, like where they are located, like where they're concentrated at? Do you know where, like, for instance, if you had to take a guess of where you could go to somewhere on the map and you would bump into the best chance of bumping into someone who says, I'm a descendant of Rasul?
If I would have to guess, of course we would say Medina. A lot of us.
wrong,
Wait,
brother.
wait.
I'm gonna give you another question. Yeah, go ahead, answer again. Medina is wrong. Think again.
Oh man, you threw me on.
Yeah, man. His thought process is where it should be.
Yeah, where it should be. Yes.
It's so wrong and so far away, brother. Far away. I didn't listen. I'm not talking about people who actually are real descendants. Yeah. I said people who are claiming to be descendants.
Oh, but that would probably be the Shia Iran. What is today?
Yeah, well, you're very close. Very close. But it's not close enough. You want to take one more chance and do
it? Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Pakistan.
Breaking news. Yes.
It's Pakistan, brother. It's Pakistan. Yep. Let me tell you, this is the thing. In Pakistan, throughout the history, they had a time in Pakistan where, and I read up on this, actually. We really need to do a whole show on this, because I went down a rabbit hole of really researching this and reading up on it. What happened was, there was a couple of things that happened politically in Pakistan, in which you had so much oppression of the people and different people, that was like how you have the caste system, right? Before it wasn't Pakistan, actually. It was just India. Like the Indian subcontinent. So it was all one, just India, just Hind or Sindh or whatever you want to call it, right? And so in that whole area, they have this caste system where they have, right? So once you're in a certain caste system, and I don't know if you know what a caste system is, right? It's like a hierarchy, like basically highborn, lowborn, or whatever. So if you're born into royalty, so to speak, or like at a high class or whatever, there's no way for you to drop down. Like if you touch, or they even have things where even if you touch someone from a lower class, it's like you can't even touch them, because they call them untouchables. So they have these class levels. So basically in India, they lay it out in like 4 classes, and I won't go into all the different classes, but the point is, they have this caste system. And once you're born into a certain family or a certain, caste, you're stuck there. And they have this belief in reincarnation, that the only way you can get out of that caste and then level up to a higher level is if you die, and then you reincarnate, and then you can possibly level up or level down. So when you have this caste system in that whole region, one of the ways that you can, one of the was a hack to the system, is that they would claim to be from honorable families from Ahlul Bayt, right? So when you have the name Jilani, Qureshi, and some of these other clearly Arab, names of the family of Rasulullah and people from that region, they would take on those names to then level up their caste. Right. So if you are a poor, and from a low family, a low level, you could change your name in Pakistan, or you could just move to a different region and just be like, yo, what's your name? Yeah, I'm new here. Yeah, my name is Jelani. And then, who are you? Oh, yeah, I'm Ahlul Bayt. So it's actually an epidemic. Even the people in Pakistan and in those areas, they laugh about it. Like I know people, I have family members from Pakistan, and they like, yo, it's like a joke. You can't turn around without bumping into somebody who's Ahlul Bayt. Like everybody is Ahlul Bayt, because that's a way of trying to automatically level up that caste system, instead of, my family is born in this low caste, there's nothing I can do about it. Now you can just change your name to Qureshi or Jilani or one of these names, and then you automatically are boosted above every other Pakistani. You're already above them. Now you're only battling with other people who claim to be. So you're.
I remember it was a lecture by I believe it was by Yasir Qadhi, and he's Pakistani descent, Pakistani American, and he was talking about how he was talking about this. He didn't go into we should have a show on that because it's a very interesting topic. Because one of the things he mentioned too was they have a similar story for how they get their lineage or their last names anyway, like us African Americans do. Because so like Muslims came to Pakistan or India at that time to go give dawah to spread Islam. So when like a sheikh, say a sheikh with the last name of Jilani would come and give dawah to these people and they'd convert from Hinduism to Islam, they would then take a Muslim name and they would then take the Muslim name of the person that was their teacher or their sheikh or whatever. So you have all these Hindus coming like, oh yeah, my last name's Fulan Jilani. And then all of a sudden, generation, like, yeah, I'm Jilani. Their sheikh might have been Akhlabate. They took the last name and then probably exactly what Mubarak said, like, yeah, I could level up on this one. Yeah, I come from northern region. I'm Sheikh so-and-so's great-grandson or whatever, and no one's going to know the difference, you know? And then and they might fully believe it. 20 generations later, like, yeah, we're Akhlabate. Have no idea, like, no, their great-great-great-grandfather just converted to Islam, and his name was Gabat Singh or something.
Not to cut you off. This goes back to your thing, what you were just discussing 45 minutes, an hour ago. People were walking around MOA or TMOA, however you want to describe it, saying this exact thing you just said.
Yeah.
He's great-great-grandson of so-and-so and so with no proof. So when I said thing amongst certain people, they was like, what are you talking about? You see what I'm saying? So I felt like the fool. So that made me, this is back in 2007, 2008. I had to go buy me a full volume of Sahih Bukhari and read the whole thing. So that sent me on this rap. You want to I call it voyage. But yeah, I'm glad you cleared that up for me because, and then too, it's a lot of people. I'm in a different region of the country right now, but I call it back home, where I was from, born and raised. You have people, competent people, who taught these people that what we're discussing here today, that oh man, he's this and he's Shaw is Pops is I heard him call him many names, but and it's funny today, it's 2023. I don't know what they're into today. I haven't seen them in 10 plus years, and I would love to see their today. I have seen a few of them, kind of like come to a real masjid, an Islamic masjid, and offer, salah with the congregation. Now they're not, in the Red House or the wherever they were at. You know what I mean? They come. You know what I mean? So I have to say alhamdulillah for that. At least they're taking a step, right? Yeah. But I had a chance to sit down with them and see what their mindset and their position is today, as far as do they totally reject, the Shah Jilani, Sheikh Jilani theory of the methodology or whatever he was pushing in the newspaper and all that. I don't know how old you guys are, but I'm in my mid 40s. So, they're putting out the Islamic Post and all of this stuff. And I would read it, because I was a working guy and did other various things. So I was kind of super busy. So
you read the Islamic Post?
Shout out to you, brother.
Yes.
I mean, that's one person that actually read the post. I always thought nobody actually read this. I mean, you're the first person that I have ever heard say, yo, I read the post.
Well,
no, I'm kidding, man. No, it's cool. Can I ask you a question? Like, so you were actually full-fledged functioning member of TMOA at some point in time?
No. Affiliate by way of marriage.
Okay.
And I want you to don't laugh. Don't laugh.
You probably will, but
I married, allegedly. I actually married the daughter of an emir.
Okay.
Area, and all of them are intertwined. The emir, what is now today, I guess they call him Khalifa.
Okay.
Him. And I gotta call him my buddy. I don't know what y'all would call him. I call him my dude. He's a beloved brother to me. I love him. Whatever he's on, that's what he's on. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's an elder. I respect him, and he's got a good personality, right? All of them are intertwined, right?
Yeah.
You know, and so when I'm married, you know, they're all kin. That's the funny part. You know what I mean? They're all kin.
Yeah.
His son married his daughter, and that's his ex. It's all intertwined.
So when you married, you were not in TMOA, but your wife was.
Right. Correct.
Okay.
Correct. I was.
Are you still married?
No, negative.
Oh, boy.
That's another.
I was gonna say if you was, well, you probably won't be no more after this show. And it's over. They at your house now packing up.
That was debacle. Let me put that debacle. That's a whole nother, scenario. And I'm glad I'm a little older and a little wiser, and I can understand and digest what we're just talking about emotions, right?
Yeah.
About men handle things a certain way, right? And we are told, to check our emotions because that's just, that's a woman's thing. You know what I mean? That's be real. So I wasn't proud of myself when I look back on how I handled things, but the things that, provoked the whole, debacle, I'm like, y'all supposed to be better than this.
Yeah.
But now that we're explaining the situation of the falsehood and the blind following, pardon you, alhamdulillah, Aki, you know what I mean? You don't know no better, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you have a really interesting story, and if you would be up for it, we could schedule a time where we could kind of go through it with you if you want to, and because it will be helpful for some other people, probably to hear and kind of hear your perspective from someone who was close, but maybe not all the way in, but your perspective on what you thought about the things that you were seeing and hearing, being that close to TMOA, and how it affected your life and how you were able to get through after breaking away or getting away from them. So I mean, it sounds interesting. We would like to get into it with you if you're up for it, but right now we're up against the clock. So
right.
You can think about it.
I got two more questions because one of them I really want to know. How much time we got?
We got at least at the most. Yeah, we can answer your questions. We'll finish those up, and I'll chat with you online about the other time we can get on the show.
Yeah.
Okay. My next question is: do you guys agree with the views of Imam Jafar Sadiq? If I said that right, Imam.
Yeah.
Jafar Sadiq,
Yeah.
You must be you must be like are you what match did you go to, man?
There's a lot of Shias over here.
What's going on? I mean, let me just. Are you a Shia? I mean, are you a Shia? I mean, is that just how you roll? I mean, all this stuff is like it's all Shiite stuff, man. What's going on?
I'm just trying to find the middle ground of the split, right? The split was, to me, no one agreed with, Khalifa Ali, radiallahu anhu, you know what I mean? No one agreed with to a point, to a fault, right? And then anybody that came after him in his lineage seemed to, I can't say to me because I wasn't there.
Yeah.
According to, Dalil and stuff, they were treated unfairly. So when they get to let's just say Imam Jafar Sadiq, he actually taught certain, historians or, Muslims in certain areas, like famous scholars like the Hanifi or the Maliki, in those particular situations. So I just wanted to understand your view and take of that, by him having a heavy influence on, the Hanafi school or the Maliki school of thought.
Well, it's real. So Jafar Sadiq, he's this is from the Sunni, and this is historically correct. He's a Sunni Muslim, right? He's a scholar. He was a pious individual to all accounts. That later the Shiites have created lies about him, and they falsely attribute themselves to him, and these sorts of things. and that's why they come up in these discussions. But as far as Sunni Muslims go, Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, we respect and look at Imam Ja'far Sadiq as a scholar and a pious person. He was a tabi'in, I believe. So that's our stance on him. The thing is with the Shiite is they take what they want and then make up the rest. You know what I'm saying? So that's how you have to look at anything that, like, even like the narrative that, like, you know, Ahl Bayt were mistreated. There was a period in history that this happened, but as far as, like, you know, the sons of Ali and Fatima, Hassan and Hussein, Hassan fought against Muawiyah for a little bit, then he relinquished it. Like, there's a whole history behind it. So this, and Shiites, the actual, like, the Shiites as we know today, they didn't come till later, a lot later, you know.
Right.
And that's just another sectarian, like they're probably one of the original cults of Islam, and they just been on for centuries now, you know.
Okay. Well, we'll get past that one. My final one. This is gonna this is a rescue mission. Final question: if you were, would you return to MOA if they renamed the community and changed the?
No.
Yeah, go ahead. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. We went.
sorry.
I want everybody to hear this. This is
Okay.
I want
Go ahead. Yep. Go ahead.
If they renamed the community, and changed their Akida and brought back just the Quran and let the people follow their imam of preference, or just one particular imam, and which imam would you choose? If that's too long?
What do you mean imam? What do you mean imam? What do you mean like as far as one of the madhahib, like
for the four schools,
or do you mean like some famous like I don't even like what do you mean? Someone we know, someone walking around living today, or one of the four schools of thought?
Four schools of thought. Man, I should have specified that.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
One of the four schools, none of that matter. I mean, like any one of those would not necessarily, you know, matter in the grand scheme.
Or if they followed none of them and just followed the opinions and followed the Quran, that's fine. As far as returning, I think I can answer for all of us. None of us would ever return to TMOA under any circumstances. Right?
I mean, the thing is, like, if that what you're saying is basically if they would just completely, I mean, what the question is
flip the script.
Basically, if they would completely stop being TMOA and just turn into a regular, normal Muslim group and start functioning like that, then they would be just the same as my local masjid down the street. So I'm not going to drive 2 hours.
Exactly.
I mean, you know,
it was nearby, maybe, but I mean,
it really boils down to, like, one. That's what so anybody in TMOA, that's what they need to do to survive and be successful as a group. They need to cast out all their leadership, and they need to denounce all the falsehood, all the shirk, all the innovation, and say, listen, from now on, we are just following the Quran and Sunnah in accordance to what is accepted and authentic and yada, yada, yada. That's what they need to do to survive and be successful in this life and the hereafter. But so when we look at cults, and we could look right to the Nation of Islam for our example for this, is that unless you uproot the whole thing, it's bound to come back, because you have
Islamic totally.
Yeah. You know what? You're gonna see, you know what's gonna happen to you, Darryl? Like, if that happened, it was like, yeah, we're on Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. We're Hanbalis now, and everything is fine and dandy, you know. And you're just gonna be just on a random Jumu'ah. Somebody's gonna say something in you know, someone might mention Abdul Qadir Jilani or something in the khutbah or something, and from way in the back, you're gonna hear someone say, "May my Mashiach live forever," or something like that. It's gonna be like, it's never gonna die. There's gonna be something where you're gonna be like, yo.
What's this? And then you're gonna be there at the end of the freaking Jumu'ah prayer. It's like, yeah, Nabi. Oh, here we go again.
Well, so Nation of Islam, you have, who was it? Elijah Muhammad, right?
Mm-hmm, yep.
Leading the Nation of Islam. His son, Warith Deen Muhammad,
he said
called because of him, he wanted to follow Quran and Sunnah, real Islam to the best of his ability, led millions of people or hundreds of thousands of people away from the Nation of Islam to try to start doing something different. Nation of Islam even like started changing their beliefs a little bit. They started changing their beliefs in their publications. What happened? Farrakhan popped back up and said, "No, we need to go back to the original." And then they went right back to square one, going back to the original beliefs. So unless you uproot it and then you actually went, like, you'd have to go on like a Gestapo goose chase, go to every individual, like, do you still believe in this? Oh, you do? You're out. Oh, you do? You're out. And get rid of everybody who still has any type of false belief and say, you're not belonging to us anymore.
Yeah, you got to like disband the whole joint and put one member in one remote, like don't even have two members in the same masjid. Like disperse them all over the world.
They follow each other. Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. That's
go ahead. For me, that was just on my mind. I just wanted to like I said, we could definitely in the future we could sit down. I get with Jafar and we sit down and schedule out a format and see what's comfortable, what's stuff that's digestible to say. You know what I mean? Because I'm knocking at your door.
It won't be knocking at our door. It might knock at your door, but it'll be knocking.
Definitely not ours. They're scared of us.
I done been there, done that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
got the criminal record to prove it. So
don't do it then. better leave that alone. He's actually one of the ones. Yeah.
Alhamdulillah, we appreciate you coming on. We're gonna have to close out right now because it's hit the 10:30 mark. So we did an hour and a half. But I'll talk to you offline and we could organize something to get on and chat some more. We enjoyed having you on. We really appreciate the engagement. And we invite others to come on as well and ask questions or have discussions on various topics related to cults and stuff. So Mubarak Amr, do you want to close us out?
Yeah, I'll close us out. We have a question. Never mind. We asked that Imam Jafar Sadiq was a Muslim born in the 8th century in Medina, and he was a famous scholar and Shiite at that time. And the Shiites believe he's like the 6th Imam. Let's call him Imam. Anyway,
he was a descendant of Ali ibn Abi Talib, right? And so he
and
was,
Abu Bakr, I believe, right?
Abu Bakr.
Yeah.
I do believe so. The Shiites, they just attached themselves to him.
Blackstone. And just typically for anyone out there, like if you find a source or something that kind of is trying to disparage any Sahaba, it's probably Shia, and probably stay away from that source for the best of you. Like Sunni Muslims, we generally don't have anything bad to say about any of the Sahabas. We love them all. So you find a source that's trying to disparage a Sahaba, stay away from that source. It's not good for you. I think that's it. So I'll close this out. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun alal mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. I have some breaking news.
I have some breaking news. Lahut Lamakan is in Pakistan. I repeat, Lahut Lamakan is in Pakistan. Assalamu alaikum.